He looked me in the eye and said, "You get nothing." What he didn't know was, I had already made sure that would be true for him instead. We were sitting in a quiet lawyer's office, surrounded by polished wood, neat folders, and that cold, formal silence that only shows up when lives are about to change. He was angry, loud, certain he still had control. But I wasn't shaken. I was calm, because by the time he said those words, I already knew exactly how this would end. It didn't start with one dramatic discovery. It started the way these things often do, small changes, easy excuses, details that felt off but not enough to confront right away. Late nights, sudden work trips, vague answers about money. He'd say, "Don't worry, I'm handling it." And for a while, I let myself believe him. After 15 years together, I wanted to believe him. We had built a life, a home, shared routines, future plans. We had memories that felt solid, the kind you assume can carry a marriage through almost anything. I still remember when we first met at a rooftop party one summer. The city lights, the music, the way he made everything feel effortless. I fell for him completely. What I didn't realize then was how slowly trust can be worn down. Not all at once. Not loudly. Quietly. At first, it was a few transactions I didn't recognize. Then more transfers. More missing money. Numbers that didn't add up. I told myself there had to be an explanation. I convinced myself I was overthinking it. But eventually, the truth became impossible to ignore. I found the hidden account. And with it, I found the pattern. Money had been moving for a long time, carefully, repeatedly, and not by accident. It was all there in black and white. Transfers, withdrawals, financial decisions made behind my back. And yes, there was someone else involved too. That part hurt. But the financial betrayal? That changed everything. Because heartbreak can freeze you for a moment, but clarity makes you move. I didn't scream. I didn't break down in front of him. I didn't give him the reaction he probably expected. I got organized. First, I protected myself. I reviewed every account, every trust, every asset tied to my name and family inheritance. What he didn't fully understand was that a large portion of my wealth had already been legally protected long before this unraveling began. It was secure, documented, and completely outside his reach. That mattered. Then I started digging deeper. I uncovered debts he had hidden, credit he had overextended, financial obligations he had buried under layers of appearances and excuses. The image he had been maintaining was far more fragile than he realized. And while he was busy assuming I was unaware, I was building a case. Quietly, carefully. I spoke to attorneys. I gathered records. I documented everything. Every unexplained transfer. Every hidden liability. Every inconsistency. I stopped reacting emotionally and started thinking strategically. That changed the entire game. In public, I stayed composed. I didn't put on a show. I didn't argue. I didn't reveal what I knew. I let him believe I was still trying to make sense of things. Meanwhile, I was preparing. By the time the divorce process officially began, I wasn't walking in confused or unprepared. I was walking in with proof. He still thought he had the advantage. He thought confidence could substitute for facts. He thought secrecy had protected him. He thought I would be too hurt to think clearly. He was wrong. The day everything hit the table, I watched his expression shift in real time. First irritation, then confusion, then panic. My attorney laid it all out. The hidden accounts, the debts, the paper trail, the financial exposure he had worked so hard to conceal. One by one, the numbers told the story he had spent months, maybe years, trying to keep buried. And suddenly, that certainty he walked in with was gone. That was the moment he realized something important. He had not been planning for the truth. I had. When he said, "You get nothing," it wasn't power. It was desperation. And when I answered, I didn't need to raise my voice. I simply told him the truth. He was the one walking away with nothing. Not because I wanted revenge for the sake of revenge. Not because I wanted drama, but because I had protected what was mine, followed the law, and refused to let deception decide my future. That's what he never expected. He expected emotion. He got evidence. He expected chaos. He got strategy. He expected me to fall apart. Instead, I became impossible to corner. When we left that office, he couldn't even look at me. And honestly, I didn't need him to. By then, I had something much more valuable than his regret or his apology. I had my freedom, my security, and the peace that comes from knowing I handled everything with patience and precision. Looking back, I don't see that chapter as the story of how I was betrayed. I see it as the story of how I responded. I stayed focused. I stayed smart. And I refused to let someone else's dishonesty destroy what I had built. That's the part people don't always talk about. Real strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like late nights with documents spread across a table. Sometimes it sounds like calm answers in rooms where someone expects you to break. Sometimes it's choosing preparation over panic. I didn't just survive that marriage ending. I walked away stronger, clearer, and fully in control of what came next. And he walked away with the consequences of every choice he thought would never catch up to him. If this story reminded you that staying calm, protecting yourself, and thinking clearly can change everything, leave a comment and share your thoughts. And if you want more powerful stories like this, make sure to subscribe, because sometimes the strongest comeback is the one no one sees coming.